All right. Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be looking at Indonesia's political and economic history going all the way back to 1945. So the first phase that we're going to be looking at is Indonesia's post-independence and early years. So from 1945 to 1965. So Indonesia declared independence from the Netherlands under Sukarno's leadership in 1945. And you can see there on the right a picture of Sukarno. Following that declaration, there was an Indonesian national revolution from 1945 to 1949 that lasted 4 years and culminated in Indonesia's independence in 1949. Shortly after this, economic challenges were happening due to the war devastation, reliance on agriculture, and a lack of industrial development. And this was coupled with political instability, where Sukarno's leadership faced challenges from both the military, the communists, which led to political tension throughout his tenure. So going deeper into Sukarno, the next phase we're going to call the Sukarno era and guided democracy that went all the way up to 1965. So in the 50s and 60s, Sukarno moved towards what he would call guided democracy, which aimed at balancing power between the military, the communists, and other political groups. But in 1965, there was a failed coup attempt that led to the rise of General Suharto and marked the end of Sukarno's rule. And this was coupled with economic decline due to hyperinflation, corruption, and economic stagnation. So the new order from 1966 to 1998 was Suharto's regime that took control in 1966 and would establish that new order with a focus on stability and economic growth. On the right, you see a picture of Suharto. The economic growth focused on industrialization, foreign investment, infrastructure, and Indonesia would go on to become one of the Southeast Asia's fastest growing economies. But this was coupled with political repression from authoritarian rule that limited political freedoms and suppressed opposition. And then also there was a lot of corruption among the elites, which would lead to a lot of discontent in the 90s. The next phase of Indonesian history is the Reformasi era from 1998 to present. So in 1998, there was the Asian financial crisis that led to a lot of economic downturn in Indonesia and triggered widespread protests. Suharto would go on to resign and step down in 1998 after 32 years in power. This led to a democratic transition where Indonesia became a democracy with free elections, decentralization, and strengthened civil rights. And this was coupled with economic recovery, where Indonesia experienced steady economic growth, became a key player in ASEAN group and the G20. But challenges still persist, mainly corruption, poverty, and regional disparities. And right there on the right, we have the portrait of the current president, Prabowo Subianto, who took office in October of 2024. He was a businessman, politician, and retired army general. So to sum things up, going back to 1945, there was a political evolution that Indonesia saw from authoritarian rule to being a democracy today. Their economic evolution really was in the 90s and through today. Although challenges still obviously do remain, Indonesia is very much one of the main emerging markets in Southeast Asia. And current outlook is that Indonesia is a regional power. It's growing its influence, but it still has issues it needs to address, like inequality, environmental sustainability, and political stability.